Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, a new judge to preside over the trial of former cabinet minister Shane Gibson. Several men arraigned on rape and murder charges. Miami Dolphin cheerleaders showing young girls a move or two.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, as senior government officials toured Royal Caribbean's new Perfect Day at Coco Key today, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis pledged his government's commitment to ensuring that a deal for the purchase of the Grand Lucayne Resort in Freeport and the redevelopment of the Freeport Harbor goes through. Jillian Gray reports.
2 months after Lucayne Renewal Holdings signed a letter of intent with Royal Caribbean International and the ITM Group for the purchase of the Grand Lucayne Resort and the redevelopment of the Freeport Harbor, the Prime Minister insisted today that the government fully intends to give them the green light when the time comes.
We had a brief discussion about Grand Bahama and we came to an agreement that we will see to it that Grand Bahama comes to fruition.
Minnis and other senior government officials spent the day roaming around Royal Caribbean's new Perfect Day at Coco Key in the Berry Islands. President of Royal Caribbean Cruises, Michael Bailey, said they have invested over $300 million in the Bahamas for other projects, and the potential impact on Grand Bahama's economy will be even greater.
I think with Freeport, I don't know what the number is, but it's going to be hugely significant. Just the fact that we're going to redevelop those hotels, the beach, that whole area is going to be in the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. The amount of work that will be underway to regenerate that destination, it's going to be a few years, hundreds of millions of dollars, massive project work, and I think the economic impact is going to be huge.
Phase 1 of the project is projected to cost $195 million over 2 years with the creation of 2,000 jobs. Bailey said he hopes that the project can regenerate Freeport and bring millions more people to the Bahamas. Government officials have said they expect to sign a heads of agreement with RCL in 6 months. That's 4 months from now. Speaking about the deal, Bailey said they are still going through the necessary steps with the government.
Well, there's a process. I think we've got another 30 or 40 days left in that process. There's obviously a lot of details to go through, and where we have teams now working together with the government to make sure that we've done our due diligence and we've got everything thought through. It's a big project. It's a significant investment. We have shareholders as well as our engagement with the community, and we want to make sure that when we finalize the proposal that it works for everybody. We want it to work for the community, we want to work it for our guests, we want to work it for the Bahamas, we want to make it work for Freeport. There's a lot to consider, and we're being very thoughtful about that.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
2 weeks after Supreme Court Justice Indra Charles removed herself from the Shane Gibson case, the matter has been reassigned to Justice Carolita Bethel, who was also the trial judge for Gibson's former colleague, Ken Dorsett. Jasmine Brown reports.
Gibson and his legal team appeared in court today where he learned who will now be handling his trial. Justice Bernard Turner revealed in court today the matter has been reassigned to Justice Carolita Bethel. That means Gibson and his former cabinet colleague Henry Dorsett are set to have their criminal cases heard before the same trial judge. Dorsett, the former environment minister, faces 4 counts of bribery before Bethel. The decision to reassign the Gibson case to Bethel comes 2 weeks after Justice Indra Charles removed herself from the case on May 8th, citing conflicts with her busy civil calendar. In court today, Justice Turner had originally set an adjournment date of May 31st. However, Gibson informed his attorney Damien Gomez QC that the date was not convenient for him as he had surgery scheduled for that time. Gomez told the court that a more convenient date is June 11th. After prosecutor Terry Archer agreed, Justice Turner adjourned the matter to that day. Gibson will appear before Justice Bethel for a trial date to be set. Prosecutors allege that Gibson solicited bribes from contractor Jonathan Ash in order to expedite payments related to cleanup efforts following Hurricane Matthew. In September 2018, Gibson's legal team that also includes Edward Fitzgerald QC, Anthony McKinney QC, and Owen Wells sought to have the voluntary bill of indictment quashed after filing a constitutional motion that alleged prosecutorial misconduct had rendered a fair trial impossible. Charles dismissed the motion in March. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Opposition leader Philip Davis has called National Security Minister Marvin Dames a disgrace after Dames blasted him for calling for an independent investigation into the recent police raid that left 3 men dead. Davis said Dames appears to be missing the point that police shouldn't be able to investigate matters involving their own.
The disgraceful thing here is none other than the minister himself, because he is the disgrace.
On Thursday, Dames asserted that while in office, Davis didn't seek to have an independent body put in place to investigate police-involved shootings. Davis says he thinks the National Security Minister is missing the point.
The fact that he speaks to us putting up an independent office and why we didn't do it. I didn't call for the appointment of an independent office. I called for an independent investigation of the recent police shootings.
Last Friday, police shot and killed 3 suspects during a police raid on a Blair Estates home. Since then, there have been multiple versions in the public domain of what happened on that morning. The matter is now before Her Majesty's coroner. Davis told reporters recently that he is concerned about the competing versions of events. However, Dames says police did what they had to do. The opposition leader said today when it comes to the actual investigation, the coroner still gets assistance from police. And that's where the problem comes in.
And this is necessary because at the end of the day, where you have varying versions of what occurred, and perhaps the physical evidence could lend some truth to one version or the other. That is why it is very difficult to digest that the persons who are going to do the investigations, who are going to decide the outcome of those investigations, are the very persons who may have been involved in the incident in the first place.
So we asked Davis, if not the police, who should investigate police-involved killings?
Perhaps they ought to think about bringing in other agencies. Maybe the FBI could lend some assistance. Maybe Scotland Yard could lend some assistance. But you also have independent criminalists who works on behalf of governments in the United States and in Canada and in the United Kingdom.
The man arrested in connection with last week's shooting on Plantal Street, which left 1 man dead and 4 others injured, was arraigned in the magistrate's court today on murder and attempted murder charges. Georgia Bain has the story.
Officers of the Central Detective Unit brought 2 men before the magistrate's court Friday afternoon to face murder charges. 22-year-old Rosamond Edian of Wilson Track, seen here in the orange shirt, is accused of the May 13th killing of Kyle Rowe and the attempted murder of Leonardo Farrington, Rodler Raymond Veal, Marvin Brown, and Geraldo Joseph. According to police reports, several people were standing outside a home on Plantal Street shortly after 11 p.m. when 2 vehicles pulled up and the occupants opened fire, hitting 5 of them before speeding away. 1 person was pronounced dead on the scene, while 4 others were taken to hospital in serious condition. Edian was denied bail and returns to court on August 13th for the presentation of a VPI. Also appearing in court today was 33-year-old Joey Scott in the navy blue shirt. He was charged with the May 7th murder of Lamont Fisher. According to reports, police were called to Dominica Way in Sunshine Park after receiving reports that a male was walking in the area with stab wounds. Paramedics were able to stabilize the victim. However, he died a few hours later. Scott was represented by attorney Dion Smith and was not required to enter a plea. He was denied bail and will return to court for the presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment on August 13th. Both men were given the opportunity to speak with family members before being remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Reporting for Our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
Also from the courts, 21-year-old Kevin Archer, seen here in the blue jacket and Nike shirt, was charged with assault with intent to rape. Archer was accused of assaulting and attempting to rape an 18-year-old woman while in Nassau Village. Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson-Pratt denied bail and remanded him to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Archer's mother addressed the court and asked that her son not be placed in maximum security because he has been threatened. Ferguson-Pratt made note and said that she would make the request. Also appearing on rape charges was 24-year-old James Stubbs in the striped shirt, who was accused of the May 2017 rape of an 18-year-old woman. He was also denied bail and was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Significant staff absences at the National Insurance Board impacted service levels for the third straight day. NIB employees have called in sick for the past 3 days after walking off the job on Tuesday to voice concern over a flawed V3 system and unfulfilled promises by executive management of the board. NIB said in a statement today that as a result of those significant staff absences, its Wolf Road and Fox Hill locations remained closed today, along with locations on Crooked Island and Nicholstown Andros. However, officials say operations resumed today on the other family islands. Still to come, dancers get down with the Miami Dolphins cheerleaders. Plus, the PLP chairman insists no U.S. ambassador, no problem. Stay tuned.